politics are good causes, something we on the team all love to try and do. And I'm delighted to be talking to someone who's simply trying to do good. Steph Shilton's theme is gambling. She helped her husband, the world-famous England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, overcome his 45-year gambling addiction in 2019. Well, Steph's now ambassador and a counsellor with ARA, Recovery for All, and they've launched their new 6 to 10 project. And Steph Shilton joins me now live from Essex to tell me more about it. I'm so pleased to see you. I'm going to start, though, with... It's not a tough question because you're very open about it, and Peter was on social media this morning as well. This is deeply personal. What was it like living with and loving an addicted gambler?
Oh, it was heartbreaking, Alistair, really heartbreaking. You know, to have this this legend and this wonderful man that was suffering so badly. So, yeah, it was heart-rending, to be fair.
But you know from the experience you have as a counsellor and working with the charity that not all gamblers are as lucky as Peter was, i.e. having a partner who was prepared to say, OK, let's try and sort this out together. At the heart of this new campaign, you are saying you've got to be prepared to turn to friends and family, but friends and family have got to learn to embrace you, warts and all.
Most definitely. I mean, not everybody has a Steffi, do they, in that position? I was lucky because I had a heavy NHS background, Alistair, and that put me in good stead. But I had to learn it all myself. You know, I had no support at all, and I had to learn as I went along. And what I loved about this particular project is because I know how lonely it was for me, because often the focus is on the addict and seldom on the loved ones. So often we are the silent victims. You know, we're just as much a victim as what the addict is. So I recognised about 3 years ago that the language and the attitude and the stigma around gambling addiction had to change. And Peter obviously was really concerned about the suicide rates. That really shocked him, that's happening over gambling addiction. So that's when we went on our quest. And what I love about this project, Alistair, is there's nothing like it in the UK, because as a couple or as a family, when you've gone through gambling addiction, the road to recovery is a very long one. You know, there's emotional recovery and there's financial recovery that's needed. And what I loved about this project is that it addresses both.
We are putting up, for those who are listening to our conversation, Steph, on radio, because we have radio and television consumers, as it were, the branding, the 6 to 10 project and the rest of it. One thing I really want to underline for people who are kind enough to listen to this conversation is that when they think of gambling addicts, they often think of pretty lonely people stuck in a pretty dingy betting shop, playing with one of those fixed betting odd machines and having a quick cigarette or what have you. This is something that impacts right across the piece. Your husband is a world-famous, top-order sports person and lucky enough to earn very good money, and quite rightly too. It hits folk right across the spectrum.
Well, I liken it to heroin addicts. So, unfortunately, you know, the gambling addiction is the high and the buzz. And youngsters in particular can get drawn into it very quickly when they get that initial win. So they can have just one high and end up being a gambling addict. And when I watched Peter come through withdrawal, I realised then this is like heroin addiction. And I will always say that. So yes, you're quite right. And I hear from top professionals that are in prison. They've committed fraud as a result of this awful. It's a mental health illness, yep. and we all need to look at it as such. Yes, and it can affect anyone. I mean, many people, Alistair, you know, gamble and enjoy a bet, and we're certainly not anti-gambling. But all we're saying is we want to raise the awareness of the dangers of it and the harm of it.
And thank you for doing that, Steph Shilton, and good luck to you and all at the charity. It is such important work. And give our collective love to Peter as well. Thank you very much indeed. Ambassador and Councillor for ARA Recovery for All, Steph Shilton.